In a rented room in 1971, police open a drawer and find a notebook. Careful handwriting. Names, doses, dates. Each person is a single initial. Beside them, a number. Beside the number, whether they lived or died. It reads like a lab log. It was a lab log. The lab was an office, the subjects were his coworkers. The man who wrote it thought this notebook was the one place he was safe. It's the reason he never walked free. His name was Graham Young, and he'd been poisoning people since he was a schoolboy in a chemistry club. Rewind to North London, the late 1950s. A quiet boy who doesn't want toy cars or football. He wants a chemistry set. Then another. He reads about poisons the way other kids read comics. By 14 he's talked a chemist into selling him antimony, saying it's for school experiments. The experiments are real. His family are the subjects, and nobody's told they've signed up. His stepmother, his father, his sister, all start getting sick. Cramps. Vomiting. No one blames the boy. You've had a bug tear through a house. Everyone blames the leftovers, the weather, plain bad luck. That's the cover. A poison that mimics a stomach flu doesn't look like a crime. It looks like life. In 1962 his stepmother Molly dies. The cause is written off. The boy quietly notes what worked. But he can't stop talking about poison. A teacher grows uneasy and his school desk gets searched. Inside, vials, powders and drawings of dying figures. The police are called. Here's where it should end. At 14, Graham Young is sent to Broadmoor, a hospital for the criminally insane, housed among grown men. The plan is simple, keep him there until he's no longer a danger. He has other plans. He studies medical texts, poison cases, toxicology. Not to be cured, to get better at it. A fellow patient dies of cyanide. Young hints it was him. Officially it's ruled a suicide. The doubt lingers. After 9 years, doctors decide he's recovered. In 1971, at 23, he walks out a free man. A parting report calls him unstable and likely to poison again. That warning never follows him to his next job. He's placed at a photographic instrument factory in Bovingdon, Hertfordshire, a quiet firm called Hadlands. His role is storeman. Small detail, enormous consequence. He's the one who makes the morning tea. Picture the trolley rattling down the corridor, the same chipped mugs every day. Ordinary. Trusted. Within weeks, a well-liked foreman named Bob Eagle starts feeling strange, pins and needles. Deep exhaustion. He fades fast, numbness climbing his legs, then his hands, then his chest. His doctors are baffled. Bob dies. It's put down to a nasty virus, some rare inflammation of the nerves. The factory mourns and moves on. Then others fall ill. The same creeping numbness, the same collapse. People start calling it the Bovingdon Bug. You know how an office picks an explanation and stops asking? A bug going round, everyone just accepts it. But this bug is oddly selective. It only visits the people who drank the tea Graham handed them. The poison is thallium, tasteless, colorless, dissolving in a hot cup exactly like a spoon of sugar. It attacks the nerves first, then the hair. Its telltale sign is hair falling out in handfuls, but that comes late. By the time anyone might spot the pattern, the victim is too sick to be asked the right questions. A second man, Fred Biggs, 60 years old, gets a dose. He suffers for weeks in agony before he dies. 2 deaths. Several more workers seriously ill. And still, officially, it's just a virus going round. Now here's the part that sets Graham Young apart from almost every other poisoner in history. He isn't only killing, he's recording. Every night, in a small pocket diary, he writes it all down. The dose. The victim, by initials. The symptoms he watched that day. How close to death each one came. He notes when he decides to raise an amount. He notes when he chooses to let one live, for now. One entry weighs a colleague he calls only F, and whether F has had quite enough to finish the job. He writes it the way you'd log a slow experiment, patient, curious, and completely without pity. In one line he worries a victim might recover too soon. That's the register, inconvenience, never guilt. This is the diary the police will one day open. But they don't have it yet, they don't even have a crime. If watching a case turn on one overlooked detail is why you're still here, that's exactly what this channel does. Subscribe and stay with it. Because for months nobody suspects a person at all. They suspect the building, the water, the chemicals on site. Worried and out of ideas, management brings in a doctor to reassure the frightened staff. He holds a meeting, says the illness is almost certainly some environmental infection. Calm down, it'll pass. And this is where Graham Young makes the one mistake his careful diary never planned for. He can't stand being wrong in public. In front of the whole room he raises his hand. He starts questioning the doctor about thallium, its exact symptoms, its precise effects on the body. He knows too much. Far more than a storeman making tea should know about a rare heavy metal poison. The doctor smiles and moves on. But the detail lodges. Later, quietly, he flags the odd young man to management. They call the police, who run a simple background check, the one nobody bothered to run before hiring him. And there it's Broadmoor. 9 years. Admitted as a teenager for poisoning his own family. Suddenly the Bovingdon Bug has a name and an address. Officers go to his room and arrest him. In his pocket, they find a lethal dose of thallium, carried around like loose change. In his room they find the diary, the neat little notebook of doses, initials and outcomes. Every death, the factory blamed on a virus, is written out in the killer's own hand, in advance. It's the confession no interrogation could ever have pulled out of him. He wrote it himself, for himself. At his trial in 1972, his defense makes the only move it has left. The diary, they argue, isn't a record of murders, it's notes for a novel. Fiction. Research. A dark hobby, nothing more. The doses, the initials, the debates over who lives, all imagined. It might have worked, if the entries hadn't lined up so exactly with real men in real hospital beds. The dates match the illnesses. The initials match the victims. The symptoms he invented match the autopsies. You can call a diary fiction. You can't fit 2 dead coworkers inside a story you swear you never lived. The jury sees it for what it's, a ledger. A man quietly keeping score of the people he killed. The line that damns him isn't the deadliest dose. It's the one where he coldly weighs letting a victim survive. Because that entry proves the thing every poisoning defense tries to bury, intent. He chose. Every single time. Graham Young is convicted of 2 murders and 2 attempted murders and sentenced to prison for life. He never leaves. He dies in his cell in 1990, at 42, reportedly of a heart attack. The tidy notebook he trusted more than any human being became the state's clearest witness against him. Think about the strange logic of it. He documented everything because he was certain no one would ever look. The same traits that made him a careful killer, control, precision, records, are exactly what caught him. A sloppier man might have walked. He was undone not by a shaking hand, but by needing to be seen as clever. That's the quiet horror underneath it. The fatal mistake wasn't a dose. It was raising his hand in that room. Vanity, not chemistry, was the one thing he couldn't measure, and the one thing his diary never recorded. So, a poisoner who logged his own murders, hidden behind a harmless-sounding bug, exposed by a single show-off question. We cover cases where the evidence was sitting there the whole time, just unread. Subscribe so you catch the next one. Next time, a killer with a flawless alibi, undone by a single receipt he kept for the wrong reason. Bob Eagle and Fred Biggs weren't experiments. They were men with names. Cases like theirs deserve remembering. Thank you for watching.